All right, guys, we got Keith Collins coming to you live out of Northern California. Keith is fairly new in the mortgage coach community, averages 150 loans, does about 50 million, and he is a regional leader in a fast-growing region that I think did a little over 300 million this year. So, Keith, thanks for making time, brother.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you are doing some cool things. I love how you've just come out of nowhere in mortgage coach land. You're north of a couple hundred TCAs. And I know you've got some scripting on how you win with online buyers and how you really identify the rate shopper. So walk us through your scripting and your strategy to win with rate shoppers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in 2018, I think I said this on a call, and I've heard this a lot, is I heard a lot of people say, like, I think we're getting shopped more than we ever have before. And I wonder if we're actually getting shopped in the way that we think that we are. And I think it's really because the consumer is looking for more value at point of sale. And I spoke about this, I think, in the last call that I was on, but like the grocery industry, and I know I'm drawing a weird parallel here, but the grocery industry has done an amazing job with the organic food label, right? The GMO sticker. You walk into a grocery store and literally at point of sale, bag of carrots is more expensive, but it's got that darn sticker on there. And you understand like why you're potentially paying more for these carrots. And in the mortgage industry, unfortunately, our value can't always be seen at point of sale. But our industry has done a really poor job of training the consumer that like the true value is our interest rate. Now, interest rates are extremely important. We all get that, but like, what's a low rate if you're not going to close a home loan? And so, I kind of just transition like in terms of shopping is, and this is going to echo a little bit of what Josh said on the previous SCRIPT-a-PALOOZA call is, I don't know if we're necessarily being shopped in the way that we think that we are. And I don't know if it's the way that my agents are referring me, but I'm not getting in the initial conversation with a client like, I'm shopping lenders or what is your rate? I'm getting where are rates at? And where are rates at is a much different conversation that you need to have with the client. And I think a lot of times we're just lumping that together and then we're just starting to spew information as opposed to leaning in that question, because where are rates at is a curiosity question. The client is asking something like, are you cool? Do you like, am I going to like you? Are you going to take care of us? Now, are you fair and competitive, but are you also professional? And do you have a process? And so when someone's asking that question, I'm listening for it and I'm leaning in and I'm addressing the interest rate up front, but I'm going over my process. And what I've heard on this call is, everybody's got some sort of a process. Now, they may have not said our process is, or they articulated that they have a process, but it's clear that they've said these things multiple times. And so we need to be able to indicate to our clients that we have a process. And for one reason or another, when we do, it just seems to kind of follow that process. So when a client says to me, like, where are rates at? I'm going to lean right in and say something like, hey, that's a great question. Interest rates are extremely important. Interest rates are still very low. And, but the interest rate that we get is really going to vary based on the program that you choose. And interest rates on certain programs can be in the low fours to high fours. I think we have a clear process that we go through, and I think it might answer some of the questions that you have. And it starts really with the simple goals and dreams conversation. And we're starting it right now. Where do you guys want to be? What kind of home are you looking for? How long do you guys plan on being in that home? And how much have you guys set aside for like initial investment? And what do you want that mortgage payment to be? Obviously you want the lowest possible payment, but what are you guys budgeting on a monthly basis? We'll go through all that information, and then I'll text or email you a link to our Easy app. It's an online application without the hassle. It'll take you about 10 or 15 minutes. You can upload documents securely, take pictures of it. I'll get a notification when it's complete, and then I go to work. And I'll come back in about 24 hours. We'll set up another call to either, or time for us to meet in person or do a video chat or have a conference call. And I'm going to go over the 4 things that I typically find clients always ask about.
Hey, are you tired of getting rate shopped? Then do what 34% of America's best loan officers do. Stop quoting rates. Start delivering a total cost analysis. This game-changing strategy will radically reduce rate shopping, and when you do get shopped, you'll win more. To learn more about this total cost analysis by Mortgage Coach, just email sales@mortgagecoach.com to request your personalized demo and get some rate shopping scripts.
Number one, what's the max price that I'm approved for? And based on what I said I wanted to spend, like what's that going to get me? Two, based on all the available programs, what program do you think is best for me and why? What's my payment going to look like? That's the interest rate conversation. So we're going to proactively address interest rates there. And what's my no surprise number? And I like to say it that way because I want them to know that this is like not a scary number. This is the number we're planning on, and we're planning on having it come in lower. So what's that no surprise number? Are you guys ready right now to have that conversation? And typically it just rolls right into that conversation. Make sense?
Makes total sense. Loving it.
So when I am getting shopped is it's after the presentation that I give the client. I'm finding. And I think it's because it's like, hey, you buy a red car and then all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. They're now in like mortgage world, right? We've got them pre-approved. We've given them presentation. They're now shopping for homes and they're listening to conversations at the water cooler that maybe they never listened to before. And they had a mortgage inquiry and they're now getting targeted ads from internet lenders because they pulled their credit for a mortgage. And that's, I think, when interest rates are coming up a little bit more in a rate shopping situation, at least with me, than in that initial conversation. So what I do is I use the total cost analysis in our presentation and I proactively lean in on interest rates. Even if we're dealing like with an FHA buyer that's minimum down. So with the total cost analysis, and I sent that to you earlier, Dave, is we use the whole strategy 1, strategy 2, strategy 3, right? Strategy 1 is no points. Strategy 2 is typically close to 1 point. Strategy 3 is maybe 2 points or something similar. And then we're going into like, what's the plan? In the initial conversation, you said they're going to be in the home for X. I think this is probably the best strategy for you. And then they understand what they're doing moving forward. Sorry.
It's all good. So I want to make sure I connected a dot there because now more than ever, people are rate shopping and you have to assume they are rate shopping. The question is, are they going to grind you at the point of sale? Are they going to wait until you've put a home in escrow and you've killed it and you spent all kinds of money and time and now they're going to grind you? So Keith knows that. And so he's providing options. He knows that online lenders and big banks are going to always provide low rate with big payments. So he's being proactive in his experience. Anyways, keep going, brother.
Yeah, man. And so we just, like I said, we lean in on that conversation. And when they bring that up, I'm listening again. Like, did they say like your rates seem high? Or did they say, I got a quote? Because that's totally different. If rates seem high, where did you see that? And I want to lead them to a point where I can say something like, did you read the fine print? Because often we're seeing these quotes and they've got like, I got one across the desk that was from Quicken and there was 2 points. And so it was an interest rate that was much lower than what we were offering the customer, but on the fine print on the back, it had 2 points on there. And so a lot of times they're just getting this random quote because they've got mortgage in their Gmail account and they're getting force fed these rate quotes and they're just asking questions. So we need to find out where is it coming from and then kind of put in, I hate to say this, but like little seeds of doubt. Like, did you read the fine print? Well, no, Keith. Okay. Well, what rate was it? Well, it was that rate. Okay. And then I'll redirect back to the initial conversation. So do you remember our kind of strategy conversation? We had talked about strategy 1 being probably the best thing for you. This seems more like a strategy 3 rate. Are you guys shifting to maybe wanting to pay points and buy the rate down now? And usually it kind of answers the question right there.
So, and Keith, you're trending and you're killing it. One last script before you go, and you've only got about 2 minutes. But what are you saying so that when your realtors give you a referral, what does that script sound like? Because how you get referred matters. I don't want to say as much as how you show up, but it's super important. So what is some scripting that you have to get your realtors to refer you the right way?
So like, what am I saying to the realtors or what are the realtors saying about me? Because that's
however you want to, whatever's most valuable to the audience in the way that you do it.
So I think it's important to frame up with the realtor as to like why they need to refer a lender. And NAR, I don't know if you've seen this, National Association of Realtors, they do some awesome end of year reports where they'll survey like 2,000, 3,000 buyers and sellers and they come up with all this information. So one of the things that NAR found was that one of the top 3 things that buyers want from their agent is to arrange the financing. Right? That's That's a big deal. And I think the loan officer plays a critical role in the sales process, and we're probably the number one partner that they have to help them sell. Like when they find a person, they hand it to the lender, kind of for us to like close it, approve it, and bring it back to them. And if they're not confident in the way that they're referring us, they're not putting us in a position so that when the client comes into that conversation with us, they're like, wow, I'm talking with Keith. Keith's awesome. He's the number one lender in the Tri-County area, and Yelp and Google, whatever it is. You got to figure out what you do really well and then train your agents to sell you in that way. But the reason is it puts us in a position so that we can return and just immediately edify them. And, oh, how did you find so-and-so? They're an amazing realtor. I've worked with them for years. They're the number one agent on Yelp. Whatever it is, you need to have a conversation with the agent about the way that they're handing you off to them. And I can get you guys this email. I instruct all my agents to do a Keith meet so-and-so, so-and-so meet Keith. There's a link to a video that we did about our team. It briefly explains why they work with me. And then it says, Keith makes 3 simple commitments to our clients. And whatever those commitments are for you, key in on that. But that's the way I think my agents are, that's the way they are referring over to me. And then it's putting me in a situation where like they're ready for a pretty cool conversation with Keith Collins right up front. It's not like, hey, here's one of 3 lenders, just call one of them. I'm sure they'll take care of you.
So a couple of things, folks. And Jeremy has a similar, I don't know if it's the same letter, but I've heard him share his scripting. He's got a letter in an email that he wants his realtors to use. And this is how you refer me. This is the best way to refer me so I can serve you. So just take away for everybody, critical that you're scripting on how you train your agents. Keith, you'll give us that email that we can share with the community?
Absolutely.
And I'll see if I can twist Jeremy's arm and get his email that he uses, and everybody on this call, you need to make that a best practice.